In the studio, it is Larry Gregory, Executive Director of Mississippi Gaming and Hospitality Association. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing well.
Man, it has been busy lately, and the holiday season, this Omicron thing is you got to worry about it a little bit. But I just think people are going to be phasing out of it. How are the casinos returning?
Well, we've had an extremely good year. That's been record-breaking, actually. Just overall statewide, we're at a $2.2 billion at this juncture here in October. Compared that to 2019, the first full year we've had since COVID, in 20. I mean, we're 21%.
What was it in 19? Do you remember?
19, yeah. I mean, we're 21% ahead, $1.8 billion. Now that's annual. At 1.8, we're at 2.2
already. At the end of October, or beginning?
We've got 2 more months, November and December.
Jeez.
I mean, you're looking at the coast. I mean, specifically, they've had a great year. I mean, you're looking at $1.3 billion. The first time we've topped the coast. Topped $1 billion was when you and I were here when Katrina.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Topped $1 billion. They're already at $1.3 billion, and we've got 2 more months. So we're doing. If
you look at some surprising, and those are surprising because a lot of people said when they start building a casino anywhere else, we're just going to lose and it's not going to be a good idea. Some of the detractors said this industry will never grow in the state. We'll have a couple of saloons along the Gulf, along the river. But one of those, not only is that surprising, but probably is equally surprising is how Tunica is just fighting not to give up, and they keep fighting.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at half that revenue up there. It's about $650 million this year so far, and so Tunica is doing better than it did in 2019. Yeah. So we're holding on and looking at maybe something up there to add some development that has been we've been speaking of that for years.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Well, what would kick it up to another gear?
Well, we would love to have, and I mean, I've not been in negotiations with anyone, but I mean, some non-gaming aspects, some economic development. Say like a racetrack.
We've been talking about a racetrack
for years and years. But I mean,
is anybody? And I'm not asking you to divulge anything. Is anybody even talking about that?
Well, I've heard. I mean, I've read reports and such, but not to me.
We talking about a horse or car?
No, cars.
Car?
Yeah, cars.
When's the last racetrack? I mean, professional racetrack been built?
It's been a while, but there are different variations of racetracks. The racetracks probably that would fit into the Tunica area would be these people that love to just let people like you and I race track, not seeing the professionals, but we have an opportunity.
So not a member of NASCAR.
That's right.
Okay.
And but there are tracks around the country that have been very successful. We think that would be a great opportunity for.
Well, that'll bring a lot of people in.
Yes.
Let's give a little bit of a review of down on the coast. What's happening there, and anything special for the holiday season?
Well, there's always a special time for the coast, Christmas time. They really do it up well. I think you're looking at the Beau Rivage. It always has a special events, and the other casinos also. But they have a light show down in Gulfport that is one of
Jones Park.
Jones Park is one of the most beautiful. I've been there.
I've never seen it. But
it is absolutely. The Island View Casino supports that heavily, which is right next door to the Jones Park, and the city gets behind that. So people from all over come over to see that show.
It's right next to the aquarium. I'm sure they're getting some benefits from that, too.
Certainly. And, speaking of things like that on the coast that's happening, I mean, as well as anyone, you mentioned it a few minutes ago, we did not want to be just a gaming market. We've got enough slot machines. We've had slot machines. But the Gulf Coast is a prime example of why we think these visitors are coming back during the COVID. I mean, we have historical. We've got restaurants, seafood, golf. The beaches. We have got so much to offer, and people are returning. They know that, and I think once the governor allowed us to reopen last year, they knew that our casinos would open in a safe manner. They've returned into numbers that we've never seen before, and so and tourism, is the fourth largest industry in our state. So we really support the tourism aspect.
You look at the cruising the coast, and the last one completed not that long ago, breaking all kinds of records. And I mean, that thing just keeps getting bigger year after year after year. And every year we have more amenities along the coast. And you're right. I mean, you can't go down to the Gulf Coast and not see a new restaurant coming in. And we did it the right way by requiring amenities.
We did it the right way, no doubt.
Yeah.
That cruising the coast. I spoke to Woody Bailey, who was over that event a couple of months prior to that, and he shakes his head each year, hoping that he just can get what he did last year, and but he just outdoes himself, and he's got that thing down to an art, and people from all over, not just this country, but people from around the world attend this. And it's a great event.
It has become the Sturgis of vehicles now, and it's not. Who knows what it's going to be 10 years from now?
Yeah, and we participate in that. I mean, we have events all throughout the coast. They do it from the western side, from Bay St. Louis, and come across to Biloxi, and then into Jackson County. So all of the counties benefit from this.
Got it. And, you are the voice of the casinos in the state of the Gaming and Hospitality Association, executive director. What do they want collectively to address in the 2022 session as far as lawmakers are concerned?
Well, come on, Paul, don't tee me up like that. You know what you want me to say.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what they want.
Well, I'll tell you what they want. I have heard and heard and heard through people that calling my office and emailing, and then legislators and in my industry, of course, is mobile sports betting. Sports betting, I mentioned the numbers for the gaming, gross gaming, and you can't look the other way of knowing the success of sports betting. I mean, you look at in this country, 45 million people just on the NFL season thus far has participated in sports gambling, and so it's a huge.
How do they want it? We understand that, and apparently, listening to what you're saying, is that number is a vast majority. I'm sure there are some out there who don't want it, but you're collectively saying the vast majority of casinos do. So hold on, because I want to ask you, in what form would they like to see it, or is there a form that's materialized? And we'll do that with Larry Gregory, Executive Director, Mississippi Gaming and Hospitality, when we return next. Larry Gregory in the House, Executive Director, Mississippi Gaming and Hospitality Association, where we're talking about sports betting. How many states have this now in our area that are competitors?
It's very competitive now with mobile sports betting. I mean, you're looking at Louisiana. You're looking at Arkansas is on the verge of getting it. Tennessee has it. And let me see, Tennessee and Louisiana and Arkansas, that's enough.
Alabama
right
does not.
No.
Can any of those people use it across state lines, or do they have the fence there?
They have the geofencing.
They have the geofence there. Okay. Is there going to be a bill? Somebody's going to forward a bill in the legislative
we've had
session?
a bill the last few years.
Same thing. You're going to put the same thing in there.
And so I think our industry will be a little more proactive this year due to the competitive disadvantage we're in right now with those surrounding states. And I think we need to react in a manner that we can be competitive, and I think we'll see some form of mobile sports betting this year, introduced at least.
Which would start in July of next year.
That's correct.
Can you bring forth to the legislative session the amount of money that we're missing from that as far as taxes itself? Do you have any idea?
We have given numbers, and I have spoke at different committee hearings at Senator Blunt, who is our gaming chairman. And it's very lucrative, and I think it would be very good for the state.
You don't have a number?
I can't remember the number.
What form would it take? Because there are different forms of this. What you can do, what you can't do. What is the general consensus?
Well, we're looking at mobile sports betting, where typically, like in Las Vegas, and we follow their model typically, and where you go in and you register at the casino, and you'll give your to make sure you're 21, proper identification, know who you are, and some financial information, and then you can register at any of the casinos.
You're not limited to that one casino.
No, you can register at different ones, and typically people will play at one, and then you go.
You have
off,
to do this in person, by the way.
Yes, you do it in person, but then at that point, then you can move. If you live in Jackson, then when things come up sporting-wise, you can bet from your mobile device.
You cannot bet when you're out of state, though.
No, we'll have it only in state.
Even
That's
when
correct.
you're in the state. If you do that, you'll just not get through, or would you be able to bet in another state from the same casino ownership?
No, I mean you cannot get through. I mean it'll be blocked. It's only for the state. Yeah. And there's technology. This has been around for a long time, and.
Is there an amount, some safeguards in there, how much you can wager or how many times you can wager, any safeguards that you want to write into that?
Well, the safeguards, of course, is like compulsive gambling. We want to make sure that's covered. That will be in part of the legislation. Also minors, and that's where you go in physically and look. And so there's not a lot of technicality or technology out there to avoid such things, but you do want to be clear in the legislation to avoid any type of...
the technology is there, and is it anything that they will have to install, or can they do that without any problem? I'm sure.
Well, there are companies out there. They're going to have to go to third parties.
Just like lottery, you're gonna go to a third party to get it done.
That's correct. We had to do that with sports betting.
How is sports betting going itself?
Sports betting is doing well. Not only is it doing well, what we consider well is we're bringing people in to our state, visitor-wise. Visitor counts have been just setting records also.
But then again,
this year.
people are asking that same question. Is there any concern that some of those people won't come? They'll just stay at home?
No, I think from what of the meetings and listening to, there was some concern of brick and mortars being damaged financially with this, but that seems to not be the case in other jurisdictions, and brick and mortars do extremely well.
I would think that the general, and I'm second guessing here, but I would think that most people are not going to go to a casino, make a trip to a casino just to sports bet. It's one of those things they'll do when they get there. On the days that they're not going to go, then they may do an additional bet. Is the venue open to anything that the casino is offering as far as racetrack, horse racing, to NASCAR, to NFL, to college?
Yeah, I mean, it's all offered.
It's all offered. Anything that you can bet on scene, on premises, you can do on the phone.
That's correct.
What else do we need to know about that? What else do you need to get this done?
Well, we have to go through the legislative process just like we have with casinos when we did that back in '93, and then we did it with sports betting, and then we'll take that course, and I think we have a legislature that is receptive. They're seeing the numbers that could be generated and the tax revenue.
When they see those from other states, how much has it affected their income?
Well, it dramatically. I mean, some of these states are doing extremely well. Las Vegas, which has had it for years, and they're established, in New Jersey. But, I mean, you're looking at almost every state in the country, like it was with casinos, the expansion. I mean, you're looking at sports betting almost in every state.
Bookies are going to be very, very mad at you.
Bookies have been very mad at me over the years, but that is something, sports betting, that's been going on, and I think that's why it's a little bit more receptive than maybe casinos were back in the early 90s. People have been gambling and betting over the years. And
Larry, what's the labor situation look like across the state as far as casinos are concerned?
Yeah, we've had our challenges in the labor market. A telltale sign is the wages have increased, but the cost of business in our industry, just like all other businesses, they've gone up. Operational cost and food and materials, and I was speaking to a general manager last week when I was on the coast, and he was telling me just a little water valve that he has to have, and part
if
of
he can get it.
It was $8. That's what he's always paid for it, and now it's $18.
Crazy.
It was just a 3-inch water valve. Things have gone up. Food has gone up, and so the cost of business has gone up, and labor certainly, but
there's a lot of jobs open there, I'm sure.
There are a lot of jobs.
What has the rise in gasoline slowed things down, or do you know? Can you tell yet?
Well, according to the revenue numbers, we're still
clicking.
We're a drive-in market, as you know, and especially during the COVID, we're seeing more drive-in, and I think half a tank of gas is not going to kill someone to come over to have their entertainment, and that's what it is. Just been up.
Is the entertainment venue back full, or are they still holding back on some of those?
They're still holding back some, but primarily they're getting back little bit by little bit, and you're going to see more major attractions. And I noticed the Bows having their winter event that they have every year, and that's good. And they're seeing the Hard Rock and the IP and all of those.
Some of them, I've seen some of the decorations, and they're outstanding.
It's a beautiful place to go to.
What does the hotel occupancy rate look like as far as the rooms?
100%.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Statewide?
Not statewide, primarily on the coast, but even in Tunica. Tunica is doing well. You need to call and be able to get a room in Tunica and even in Vicksburg and the Central Market. They're doing well, and that's a drive-in market also. So you're not going to see the hotels filled up as much.
Anything you know about any new casinos coming in, or any new? We talked about the racetrack, which is just a wish list out there. Anything new that you know about?
Well, what came up last year, and we're still, have our eyes set on that Universal Casino, which will be a casino and a music venue. The Broadwater.
Yeah.
And
you think that's still alive?
It's still alive.
Is there any expected announcement on that?
It's just people above my pay grade, investors, bankers, and talking and seeing if it all fit. And
if it was rumored before, I'm just thinking about this, and they look at the numbers and the growth factor that's going on the coast. If it was a good idea before, it ought to be an even better idea now.
Man, if you're an investor, now's the time to invest in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. As you know, that's what investors look at. They see the spreadsheets. They see the analytics and the data. Our industry is data-driven, and so they look at that, and certainly that would be a good investment.
During the session, let's get back together again.
I'll be happy to.
Happy holidays, sir.
Thank you.
Larry Gregory, Executive Director, Mississippi Gaming and